Hello everyone. Welcome back to Distributed Generation and Smart Grid lecture series. In this video we are going to discuss about energy management. Energy management includes planning and operation of energy production and energy consumption unit. So energy management is the judicious and effective use of energy to maximize profit, that is minimizing the cost and enhance competitive positions. Or it can be said that the strategy of adjusting and optimizing energy using systems and procedures so as to reduce energy requirement per unit of the output. So there are few steps for processing energy management, that is collecting and analyzing the continuous data and identifying the optimization in the equipment schedule, etc. Let us discuss what are the principles of energy management. So it can be summarized as eliminating unnecessary energy usage, improving efficiency of energy use, buying energy at lower cost, adjusting operation to allow purchasing energy at lower prices. So these are the some of the points that stands as the basic principles of energy management. So energy management is a never-ending process, and it goes on throughout the life of an organization. No one can claim that energy management process has been completed. It's an ongoing process and it never ends. So the rising energy costs have again made energy management a priority for the facilities managers. So there are many approaches to energy management. The few basic steps of energy management are identify the all opportunities of saving the energy. Then prioritize activities in the action plan. Then implement action plan by completing defined activities. Make effort to hold on to the action plan and activities. And these are the some of the basic steps in energy management. And important links in the energy management process are energy manager, energy auditing, then energy auditor, then management of the entire organization. So what is the role of an energy manager? So energy manager plans, regulates and monitors energy use in an organization or facility. So aim to improve energy efficiency by evaluating energy use and implementing new policies and changes where necessary. An energy manager does not wait for action to happen and searches for all possible opportunities. And they keep educating himself about the ways and methods to reduce energy. Then second component in the energy management process, energy audit. Energy audit is a systematic study or survey to identify how energy is being used in a building or plant, and it identify energy savings opportunities. So you can define energy auditing as the verification, monitoring and analysis of use of energy, including submission of technical report containing recommendations for improving energy efficiency with the cost benefit analysis and an action plan to reduce energy consumption. That is energy auditing. So which is held in the foundation on which energy management process exists. Improper energy audit not covering all the aspect of energy usage will never result in a sound energy management. So energy auditing is very important. We should consider all the aspect of energy usage, even the minute one, and prepare the technical report which consists of cost benefit analysis and action plan. That is what is energy auditing. And this is carried out by an energy auditor. So he has to be very sound both technically and commercially. Should be have rich experience in working of the plant and equipment. His observation has to be comprehensive and not just limited to select few. Then the another part of the system is management. Management have to take a call over which procedures or action plan has to be implemented. Although the energy auditor is expected to weigh pros and cons about any proposed measure suggested for implementation, but role of management is ensuring that proper budgetary support and framework is provided is of paramount importance. So even though the energy auditor prepared a clean report, the management should ensure the proper budgetary support and framework in order to implement the action plan that is recommended by energy auditor. And some of the principles of energy management, without knowing how, when and where energy is used, there is no way to gauge the relative importance of energy management projects. So identifying and tracking energy use pattern is the first step in any energy program. So more energy savings may be obtained by simply controlling systems use, example lighting, than by installing more efficient components. So more energy savings may be obtained by simply controlling the actual systems, in a way to minimize the energy consumption, than installing an energy efficient or replacing a equipment with the energy efficient components. Most successful energy management programs are found in the best managed and maintained facilities, not in those with the greatest quantities of technological equipments. So energy management or best energy management doesn't mean that we need to implement the new technological energy efficient equipment, but we need to maintain the existing facilities and find out the way to reduce the energy consumption in our existing systems. Good maintenance practice and good energy management go hand in hand. Some of the highest rates of return on energy conservation are generated simply by performing the maintenance itself. So proper maintenance definitely reduce energy consumption, and hence you can conserve the energy. Preventive maintenance is still critical, and reactive maintenance still foolish. What is preventive maintenance means? We need to regularly maintain our equipment before any crisis occurs. But a reactive maintenance means waiting for a crisis to occur. After that, we maintain the machine. So preventive maintenance is a good policy, and reactive maintenance is still foolish. Despite funding limitation. If there is a funding limitation, you can wait for a crisis to occur. Otherwise, prevention is better. So it is easy to ignore preventive maintenance when systems are new, calibrations are precise, seals are tight, and heat exchanger surfaces are clean in an industrial system. As the system age, these systems and other items need care and maintenance. And there will be difference between maintenance versus energy management. Maintenance and energy management serve different purposes. So one cannot substitute for other. For example, cleaning light fixture lenses and relamping them is a good maintenance practice. So installing more efficient lamps and ballast is good energy management. So these distinction must be remembered when budgets are being prepared. And why reduction and control of energy usage is a vital for an organization. An organization. First thing is reduces cost. The most convincing reason for saving energy is it reduces cost. Save up to 20% on fuel cost by managing energy usage. Second one is reduce risk. It helps to reduce the risk of energy price fluctuation and supply shortages. Then it reduces the undesirable environmental effects. So reduces the carbon emissions and undesirable environmental effects. Carbon emissions from energy use dominate the total greenhouse gas emissions of most organizations. So reducing carbon footprint helps build a green image, thereby generating good business opportunities. So sound energy management is an integral part of carbon management. Helps organization in effective overall environmental management. And other benefits are energy management creates a better workplace environment for employees by improving their working conditions. And it achieves stronger market position by demonstrating green credentials. If your industry is working as a green system, then you can achieve strong market positions. Improve the competitive advantage as most consumers prefer to source from socially responsible business. Then another aspect of power system that is demand side management. So demand side management is a modification of consumers' demand of electricity through various methods such as financial incentives and consumer education. You can educate the consumer on how to reduce their energy consumption, how to shift their energy consumption from peak load period to off peak period, etc. And also you can encourage them to reduce their consumption by giving the financial incentives. So demand side management is one of the method that can be implemented at the demand side or customer side in order to reduce the energy consumption. So demand side management is a modification of consumers' demand of electricity through financial incentives or consumer education. So usually a goal of DSM is to encourage the consumers to use less energy during peak hours or to move the time of energy use to the off-peak hours. So that is the basic of idea about demand side management. And who demands electricity? That is a consumer. So who will manage demand for electricity by consumers? The service provider with equal participation from consumer. That is this type of energy management policy is provided by service utility, but with equal participation from consumer. So demand management mainly aims to encourage a change in the use of electricity. So it allows the consumers to control their loads and to know the behavior of their main electric appliances in relation to the demand of electrical energy. And whenever we implementing a demand side management, the consumer can know their energy consumption profile and manage their loads accordingly. So we can again define and demand side management in other way, that demand side management is defined as the planning and execution of those utility activities designed to influence the customer's use of electricity in certain ways that will produce desired changes in the load shape of utilities, that is in the magnitude and the time pattern of a utility load. It is nothing but the utility is encouraging consumers to shift the load from peak period to off-peak period, and they are encouraging them to reduce their energy consumption. So, in order to implement demand-side management, there should be a relation between utility and consumer. In a smart grid, it is easy to communicate. In a smart grid structure, there will be a communication between consumers and utility regarding their energy consumption profile. The utility consumer can know their energy consumption profile at any time, so that they can manage their energy well. Also, the utility will provide financial incentives based upon different tariff whenever they reduce their energy consumption or shifting the energy from peak period to off-peak period. So, in a way, by using demand-side management, utility actually decides the load shape of the load pattern of the consumer, which in turn changes the load shape of entire utility. So already available energy can be more efficiently utilized without installing new electricity generation and transmission infrastructure with the implementation of this kind of DSM programs. And what are the needs of DSM? Definitely everybody knows that it is energy management. So saving 1 unit of electricity at consumer N avoids nearly 2.5 times of capacity addition. So a consumer reducing 1 unit of energy means can reduce that much energy generation in the utility point of view. So 1 megawatt capacity addition of thermal power requires around 6 crores for installation and another 3 crores for transmission and distribution. So you can see that it is better to manage the energy and reduce the energy consumption than adding the capacity or than installing this kind of generation and transmission distribution. So that is what is the importance of energy management and demand side management. And you can see increasing energy requirement. These are needs for DSM. Then increasing threat of climate change and other environmental consideration. And energy security, lack of other supply options, huge scope for energy efficiency measures. These are needs for energy management. And consumers utility have equal responsibility in demand side management. As utility consumers to have a very important role to play for achieving objectives of DSM. And how to do DSM, demand side management, how to implement this one. That is either by financial programs or uh, uh, by giving the financial incentives, you can encourage the consumers to change their load profile. It, to charge higher prices during peak hours. So once the consumer receiving the information regarding their energy consumption during peak hours, they definitely themselves aware of their energy prices. If it is very high during peak prices, they will definitely shift the load from peak to off-peak period. So to charge higher prices during peak hours. Improving the efficiency of various end users by using energy efficient appliances. And better housekeeping and reducing energy leakages. And this is important for agriculture where energy efficiency is very low. And can promote the use of energy efficient technologies and addressing aggregate technical and commercial losses. The benefits of demand side management you can classify as customer benefit, utility benefit, and societal benefits. The customer satisfy electricity demands, reduce or stabilize the cost or electricity bill, maintain or improve the lifestyle and productivity. Utility, lower cost of service, improve operating efficiency and flexibility, improve customer service. Societal benefit, reduce environmental degradation, conserve resources, protect global environment. So all these three domains have their own benefit receives after implementing demand side management. And some of the practice that can be adopted to reduce the or change the load pattern of a consumer in order to achieve the demand side management. These are load shaping objective and methodologies. These methods are utilizing for in order to shift customers load from peak period to off peak period. So you can see that different types of load shaping methodologies. First one is peak clipping. Peak clipping means reduction load during peak period to get the load profile as decided by the utility. You can see one of the load curve here there. And this voltage reduction on the part of consumers is directly controlled by the utility and is usually enforced at peak time. Peak clipping is a basic form of load management which helps in the reduction of system peak by using direct load control. Direct load control is nothing but a utility can access the load of consumer directly. That is, during the peak hours, if the load is very high, then utility can directly turn off some of the loads of consumers without the permission of consumers. So normally their air conditioning load during the peak hours they can switch off the AC and then reduce the peak the maximum demand of the load consumer to a lower value. That is peak clipping. So you can see the shape of load profile through peak clipping in this particular figure. And the direct control can be used to reduce the capacity requirement, operating cost, and other benefits. And it is very important. Peak clipping becomes essential for such a utility that do not possess enough generating capabilities during peak hours. So that is one of the method of leveling the load. Then second one is valley filling. So valley filling is a second classic form of load profile shape changing technique. So valley filling is another type of load management in which increment of consumption during off-peak period. That means here these valley filling programs are usually accompanied by load shifting programs. You can see a load profile in a valley filling that actually make during the peak hours. You can see the maximum demand during the peak hours. In order to reduce that peak load during the off-peak period, the consumers are encouraged to use electricity or to store the energy. Then during the peak period, they can switch off their load, and that energy is already stored during the off period can be utilized. That is what is valley filling. During the off-peak period, the energy is stored, and during the peak period, the stored energy can be utilized so that the peak demand can be reduced. That is a basic objective of valley filling. Then load shifting. So third technique of load shape change is load shifting. So which moves peak load to off-peak time period without necessarily changing overall consumption. So load shifting combines the benefit of peak clipping and valley filling by moving existing loads from on peak hours to off-peak hours, as you can see from the figure. So conventional devices for load shifting include the space heating storage, cooling storage, domestic hot water storage, customer load shifting, etc. So this is this one also this one combines the benefits of peak clipping and valley filling. Is almost the same as that of valley filling. That means by using energy storage technologies, we are shifting the peak period load to off peak period. Then strategic conservation is another method. Strategic conservation is the load shape change that occurs from various targeted conservation activities. That is, you can see two different load profile here. The entire load profile is reduced by using strategic conservation. It is nothing but an energy conservation policy is adopted, and by using that energy conservation policy, your entire demand is reduced. So not as we discussed earlier, it does not shifting the peak period load to off peak period or clipping the peak load. It is simply implementing energy conservation policy. Hence, you can reduce your load profile. So you can see the strategic energy conservation policy can be adopted, and hence your entire load profile is shifted down. That is what is strategic conservation. The examples of strategic conservation efforts are building energy conservation and appliance efficiency improvement, etc. And Next one is a strategic load growth. So this is the opposite of strategic and energy conservation. Is some power systems there are surplus energy. So in some countries renewable energy 100% renewable energy based power systems are using. So there are surplus energy generation. So if the consumers are utilizing the energy, they are encouraged to utilize the energy generated. So there is a need of increase in the load profile. So in our system, we need to reduce the energy requirement, but in a strategic load growth, the consumers are encouraged to use more energy so that their load profile or consumption is increased. So this is also a method of load shaping methodology. Strategic load growth refers to a general increase in the electricity sales beyond the valley filling and spontaneous effect of economic growth. So in a renewable energy distributed energy generation or renewable energy based power system, there will be a lot of energy generation based on renewable. There is a possibility of surplus energy. So this energy can be sold in your electricity market. So customers are encouraged to use more electrical energy so that entire economic growth is increased. So in such a scenario, we need to adopt this kind of thing, strategic load growth. So examples of strategic load growth include electrification, substitution of primary fuels, commercial and industrial process heating and automation, and another means of increase in energy intensity in industrial and commercial sectors. So if whenever we require to sell more energy into consumers, we encourage them to use the electrical energy. So the load profile will be increased. That is strategic load growth. Then flexible load shape is another method of load shaping methodology. So flexible load shape involves allowing customers to purchase some power at lower than normal reliability. Customers' load shape will be flexible depending on the real-time reliability conditions. That means a flexible load shape means the consumer's load profile is not a predefined one, or it is not fixed. Depending upon the energy policies that taken by time, the load shape will be changed. That is what is flexible load shape.